Hi everybody, I'm Alexa,
And I'm Johnny.
here from Pages of Forbidden Love. We're actually starting a new feature which we're hoping to do 2 Fridays out of the month, and it's going to be an opinion video on just different topics in blogging world and maybe movie stuff. Basically something that has to do with stuff that we can actually put on the blog.
We're very opinionated people, so it might work.
So today's topic, we decided we'd do this one together. Sometimes if the topic suits both of us, we'll both do it. If it suits just me, you'll probably just see me doing it by myself, and I've also picked out some topics that just he's going to do.
Those will be fun.
So this week the topic is cliffhanger endings, which as you all know, those are becoming even more popular in the teen genres now. And basically, you all know what a cliffhanger ending is. It's when the story ends off at a point where it's normally in the middle of an action sequence, or there's a lot going on, and then the story just cuts and you don't really get to know the ending of what's happening with those characters.
That's the Webster's Dictionary definition of it. Well, I guess I can give my opinion of it. I don't mind them as long as it means something. If the characters of the story are all well thought out and they're fleshed out, and then the cliffhanger is done and executed in a proper fashion, might as well just do it. But if it seems to be that the author just ran out of ideas, like the book starts out strong, and then as it carries on, it falters, and all of a sudden, da-da-dum, that won't work. So it all depends upon how it's done. I don't mind them. She has a different opinion. On to her.
I'm actually going to show you some popular teen books, or teen series in total, that have cliffhanger endings of them before I actually give my opinion. The first book is Nightshade.
Pretty cover.
You can just look at the cover. We all know that we really like this cover. I really love this book in its entirety. The cliffhanger doesn't really bother me in this one because to me it doesn't really take away from the overall story, because at this point I'm so invested in the characters and the story that I really didn't care that it left off on a cliffhanger, because I knew that I was going to read the next book anyways. But it does leave off on a cliffhanger, but I don't think it distracts from the storyline. I think that the storyline, as Johnny said, is strong and the characters are strong all the way through, so it wasn't like the author was just rushing to get to a cliffhanger because they didn't know what else to say. Next is the second book in the Hex Hall series, which is Demon Glass. Pretty much everybody who I know who read this book is really upset with the ending of this one, because this one really did stop in a huge piece of action that was going on. Everybody was kind of getting in trouble. There was a lot of magic going on. You didn't really know what character was even in what area. You didn't know who was safe, who was in trouble. So it leaves you very much at a very vague point in the storyline. So you really have to kind of stop and wait until you know what happens next. I do, again, really like the characters and everything in this series, so obviously I'm going to read the third book. Was the cliffhanger necessary in this one? I don't really think it was. I think people would read the next books anyways.
See, that's an opinion.
Next up is Illusions. I really do love this entire series by April Lynn Pike. She lives in Arizona, so I see her all the time. She's a great lady. But the third book, Illusions, it left off at a very kind of crucial point in the storyline. They were kind of having a conversation with this one girl, a conversation that was very important to what's going to be happening in book 4, but they kind of cut it off in just the middle of a conversation. There wasn't really action going on. It was just like, okay, here's a conversation that we're having, and we're done having this conversation now, to be continued basically in the next book.
Peace.
I like the series, but I don't think that the cliffhanger should have been that way. Next book, this one I was just so on the whole storyline and characters. I really liked the idea of dragons just because it hasn't really been done before, but the characters and the storyline, it dragged a little bit for me. So the fact that this also ended on a cliffhanger ending, it just kind of ruined the story for me. I mean, the ending kind of came out of the middle of nowhere. Characters who weren't involved in the entire storyline just suddenly pop back in and decide
You're not
that
going to do a spoiler alert, are you?
take over the ending. Okay, if there's any spoilers, I'm trying not to be doing any spoilers for this, but, a lot of you have probably already read this.
Hopefully.
I'm still going to read Vanish when it comes out, but it's just not at the tippy top of my list. I'm not super excited. Well, when you have a a to-be-read list of 300 books, you
there's a tippy top.
You have to prioritize.
We're adults. Tippy top. Sippy cup.
Next book is Crescendo, which is the second book in the Hush Hush series. This one had its ups and downs for everybody just because basically Nora was kind of going around and acting like a baby for this entire book. But this one ends up on a cliffhanger. The cliffhanger was good. Again, I'm invested in the characters and everything, so did it need a cliffhanger? No, I would have picked up the third book regardless. And the last book is the City of Bones series. Obviously, this one ends off on a huge kind of action scene. A lot of things have been revealed in the storyline, and then it kind of just ends, and there's huge secrets there, and you don't really know what's going on. And even when you read the second book, some of it still isn't cleared up. So
Star Wars style secret. She wouldn't get that. She's never seen that.
And I haven't read City of Glass yet. I know I'm kind of behind in this series just because the first book threw me for a major loop with the end of it. It's too high up. It's all the way.
Well, she's behind. There's only a few hundred books in this room she still has to read, but, you know, there's the ones at the tippy top of her list.
Anyway, so again, this had a cliffhanger ending too. So now that I've kind of shown you all of the books...
We want you to do something. That's leave a comment.
No, I haven't even given my opinion yet.
Well, I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah, you're jumping way ahead.
Maybe her opinion doesn't matter.
My opinion matters.
Continue.
Anyways, so just the fact that, you know, cliffhanger endings that can be done in a good way, I don't really feel that they're ever necessary in the books, though, because I feel that if you're invested in the characters, if you really love the characters, if you fall for them, if you love the storyline, if you're angry when they're angry, you're upset when they're upset in the book, you're crying when one of them dies, if you're emotionally involved with the book, I feel like you don't need a cliffhanger ending in order to pick up the next book that's going to be in that series. Johnny over here thinks it's a marketing technique, which, yes, it is, but...
We can leave it open for another book. I mean, like, if you wrap up all the storylines of Iron Man 1, who the hell's going to go see Iron Man 2? Or X-Men?
I just feel that at this point the cliffhangers are getting out of control in the teen books. It feels like every story has to have a cliffhanger ending just so that we can have a series that's 3, 5, 10, 12 books long. People are kind of extending these series out to God knows when. But to me, if I'm invested in the storyline, I don't need a cliffhanger. I'm going to go buy the next book just because I want to know what's going to happen with those characters that I'm already falling in love with. So... you know, that's our opinion on it. We'd love for you to actually leave us your opinion.
A comment. Now I can say it.
In a comment. If you've done a post like this before or you've done a video like this before on your blog, feel free to leave us a link for your blog where you've talked about it, and we'll try and head over there and leave a comment for you guys. So thanks for joining us. You'll see us in 2 Fridays from now so that we can do this all over again.
Bye.
Bye.